Hello, I'm Max. Nice to meet you. And this is the series Meet Max, the web conferencing edition. This year is about thanks, installments, and congratulations. A world of thanks to Bridget and all that she's accomplished this year. Bill announces the installments of our new officers, and a huge congratulations to Laurence for becoming our 2020-2021 president of our fine chapter. Here's Bridget, Bill, and Laurence.
Now I get to say my goodbyes, and then we'll move on to the installation, and then Laurence. I stood before y'all last year and gave my checklist, what all I wanted to do, what all I hoped that the chapter could accomplish. And didn't get everything checked off that list, but got a good amount. And just want to recap a little bit about what we were able to accomplish, and leave Laurence and Don and move on with some of the other new things that we're looking to do in this crazy world we're living in. First of all, Kathy Patterson and her team, CPAR, we had the largest amount of graduates ever by sheer luck, but they did a phenomenal job. I don't know if Kathy was able to be on or not, but I want to thank her and the team for yielding the storm and working through a lot of stuff, and Brian helping out, Ava, and then John, and I know his team will be taking over this year and will do a phenomenal job, and I know Advanced CPAR will be the next directive for that, and they did a really great job with all of their certifications, so I thank them for being able to check that off the list. Next up was Monica and the innovation team. We were able to bring in a kiosk. Unfortunately, we've only been able to use it once for our registration, to fine-tune that, make a better experience for the registrant. And then also the education roadshows that we took out to some of the providers, asked them what they wanted to hear, and we brought it to them. Got a lot of great feedback and a lot of good attendance on that. And then service projects, as we mentioned earlier with Carrie, she worked on those, and it just goes to prove what a huge heart that our chapter has, along with our region, on the various service projects and all the great attendance that we have. And actually our virtual networking events that we've been doing, we have 2 next week. We've raised over $1,000 for those charities and hope to raise more. And literally we just said the only way you can get in the door was to give a little money, and people gave way more. So thank you to that. Amy and Ariel, as far as the institutes, were wonderful. We had a huge amount of attendance, a lot of great speakers, and the goal was provider-based panels and focus on that. And I think we probably had more providers attend our Fall Institute than we have in several years. So kudos to you guys. Thank you so much. Mr. Eric tackled that membership again, and we were hoping for 900, and we ended up having about 2,500. So thanks to you and your team and enterprise membership, I think we're situated for a few years to come. Mr. Brian in technology, thank you for being the go-to guy that we can all run to, no matter what the committee is, to keep the website up to date, helping us with tackling Litmos over the last several years to get our CPAR and advanced CPAR program where people can take it at home, and we no longer had to have the facilitators like we did, and also keeping us straight on the apps and working with new committees to better our website, such as, and our YouTube channel, such as with the historian group and with Mr. Meet Max. I believe Sherry Thrasher resigned. We're glad to have Sherry back. She was out for a while, and she left and was able to them knowing what to do when they were able to get several things done in her absence. But they also brought back what was formerly known as the Georgia Scroll, and now it's the Peach Post. As earlier with Allie and Beth Burton and Eric Lee, all the social media, all the email blasts, they have done a phenomenal job to the point where I think some of you may be tired of those emails, but they're effective, so you're going to keep getting them. And then Meet Max. I think there's Max. Wave to us, Max. We pitched that idea. I think it was Max and I and Sherry and even Eric got involved at a bar at the Great Woods Lodge down in LaGrange for that idea, and it has been a hit. Thank you for doing that. Hopefully when we're all together again, we can do some more interviews. We have more to come. And then Zach Scarborough. I don't know if Zach Dunn is not, but Gail is, and give him a shout out. That man does all of our surveys. Great. And you just don't know what a problem surveys are until you deal with Laurence and I. So God bless you, and thanks for putting up with us. Gina, thanks for having 3 students attend the Fall Institute as part of our university outreach program. That was very, very successful, and we even got those 3 students involved with some of the CFOs and other mentors there. So hopefully that will help them in their future professional life. And then also we continue to keep on working with other organizations, which has been invaluable. Matt, payer forms. Ava and Mr. Bill, y'all tackle those, and love you, Bill. You are the best referee there is when it comes to those forms. Revenue cycle, Lil did an awesome job. Who knew that the Columbus form would be the last one we all had together back in March? And then, of course, webinars. Webinars are the backbone, have been the backbone of the chapter, but now they're the most important part of the chapter to deliver the education out to all of the members. And actually, we've gone nationwide with a lot of folks. Purely by an accident on Sherry's part, but thank you, Sherry. We've got a lot of people from the Northeast that join our weekly webinars. Just some other regional things. We had our inaugural St. Simon's I-95 event in last June. It was a hit on a smaller scale, and fingers and toes crossed, folks. We're trying to see if we can pull it off in July. Hopefully we can, and be back at St. Simon's, at least some of us together. We also had a regional baseball game that I worked with on Tina Minnick, and that was wonderful. Again, we were trying to do that this attempt to do that maybe later in the year. We also did a blood drive, a regional blood drive, and thank you, Georgia, because we were the ones that donated the most blood. No competition or anything. And then we also had our inaugural Southeastern Summit in Charleston, and those guys did a phenomenal job. So thanks to them. Really what I have left is just a bunch of other thank yous to certain groups and all. I'd like to thank my Emory family, Jim and Anna and Karen and Elaine and Melba and Ava, Betty and Mary and Rox for all being so supportive of me this past year and leading me into this role. Next up is the chapter membership for allowing me to be your representative. Very honored to be able to say I was president of the Georgia chapter. To the chapter volunteers for rallying around and being some of the best volunteers. We, I think, added at least 25 to 30 new volunteers this year. I'm very, very, very proud of that. I've got to meet a lot of you and got to know you, and thank you for being so willing to give your time. Next up is a small special group, and that's my Corona crew. Thank y'all so much for putting up with my text messages. You've made a lot of this much easier. You know who you are, so thank you for the laughs and the seriousness. Past presidents, Georgia and otherwise, wave, please wave. Thank y'all all for guiding the way and showing the rest of us that once you become a past president, you don't get to leave. You will still be involved. I thank you all, Rox, Karen, Bill, Kathy, Susan, Jonathan, Cinnamon, Kimberly, Terry, I think Rick may be on, Georgianne, you name it. Thank y'all all. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. The other regional 5 presidents, Tina, Cheryl, Michael, and Laurence, Wallace. Sorry, Wallace. Thank you guys. It's been a wonderful experience being able to do this with the four of you. I think we had a really good team, and I appreciate it. The REs, Jude, Mark, Michelle, Karen before you, thank you all for herding cats a lot of times, but we appreciate it. I think Jude may have been a cat we were herding, but the rest of you, thanks for the guidance and being the advisors that you were. Again, to all of the outgoing board members, which are Eric, Brian, Amy, Monica, and Kathy, thank you so much for being part of the board and offering your guidance and wisdom to the chapter. For Sherry, Gina, and Matt, you guys, it's the second year. You'll feel like you know what you're finally doing. God bless you. And then for Laura, John, Ariel, and Monica, who has graciously offered to do another term, enjoy. It'll be fun, a lot of work, but you'll get so much out of it. For our sponsors, thank you, thank you, thank you. We can't do this without you. And I genuinely hope that with the new coming year and things are going to be different, that you still see the value and how important that this organization is. I think we need it now more than ever. The award winners today, congratulations. You all earned it and was so well deserving. Georgianne, I don't know if you're on, but thank you for allowing me to be your shadow for so many years. And I appreciate all of your feedback, even sometimes not what I want to hear, but appreciate it. Miss Elizabeth Richards in the luau dress, thank you so much for putting up with some of my craziness and always coming up with the best ideas at the weirdest times. I learned a lot with that. That's my 3 a.m. ideas. And Mr. Laurence, again, thank you for being my go-to guy. I appreciate it. Last but not least, with this crazy world that we're living in, please everybody stay positive. We'll get through it, no doubt. It'll be very interesting on the other side, but I'm looking forward to seeing what this next bunch of people, wonderful people do with it. So again, thank you for letting me be your president this year.
Hi, everybody, near and far. As a past president and now 30-plus year member of the Georgia chapter of HFMA, I really am honored today to install the new chapter board and officers and to, again, recognize those who served in the past year. Due to the current situation, obviously, doing this remotely, which would not be our first choice, but we're certainly making the best of it, and it certainly doesn't make it any less significant. I was reminiscing about some of the times that we've spent together over the years as a chapter. 2002, I was the chair for the Dixie Committee. I don't know if you can see this with my background, with the way my background's working, but we had a Survivor theme. The TV show Survivor had just recently come out, and the idea is that in order to survive what healthcare throws at us, HFMA was an important part of that. And I would certainly say that's true today more than ever. Survivor just celebrated their 40th completed their 40th season and 20 years on TV. So quite a parallel certainly with our organization. We're all survivors in our own way through what we've endured in healthcare over the many years, but also here most recently. And then I found this business card holder. A couple of you will remember this. This was from our 2007 Region 5 Dixie Institute during Rick Child's year. I think Eric and Cinnamon were the program chairs for him that year, but it was one of the first meetings that we had out at Lake Oconee in the Ritz-Carlton, and the theme was Courage with an Attitude. And I thought that was also appropriate as we think about what we're going through right now. And attitude, of course, plays such a big part in everything that we do, and it certainly does now. HFMA, I know, has helped me quite a bit in the recent weeks, just staying connected with all of you as best I can. But I want to begin with real quick, just a shout out. I see Donna Ellenberg is on. She has just recently been installed as the Alabama HFMA chapter. I want to say hi to Donna. Robert Howie with the Florida chapter, I think, is officially being installed tomorrow. Robert, congratulations and welcome. Congratulations to Cheryl Spanier on her way out, Tina Minnick with us with the Tennessee chapter, and of course Jude for all of his great work this year as the RE, and to Mark, we look forward to having your leadership this year. So let me begin with the officers who are completing their service for the 2019-2020 term. These volunteers have given their time, attention, and hard work to help build the foundation on which the chapter will grow in the coming year. Current officers and directors, as I call your name, if available, please wave at your computer and camera to be recognized. President Bridget Cutchen, immediate past President George Ann Phillips, who I am glad to see finally was comfortable enough to turn on her camera. It's so nice to see your smiling face. President-elect Laurence Harris, Secretary Treasurer Elizabeth Richards, board members from this past year, Eric Burgeon for membership, Gina Smith for outreach, Amy Pachota for education institutes, Matt Fisher for education webinar forums, Sherry Thrasher, communications, Brian Patterson, technology, Monica Agati, innovation, Carrie Summers, the GHA liaison, and Kathy Patterson for certification. On behalf of the chapter, allow me to share our deepest appreciation for your service, and we thank you for all that you've done. Next, I'd like to present the officers you have elected for the 2020-2021 term. As you know, serving your chapter can involve a tremendous investment of time and talent, but it can also be an excellent opportunity to discover new things, develop new skills, and collaborate with colleagues. We've certainly been challenged with how to keep things going in a different environment, different and ever-changing environment. All of us are excited to see what this new group of leaders will bring to the table in the year to come. As the names of the incoming officers and board members for the year are read, again, if you're available, please wave to your camera. President Laurence Harris. Immediate past President Bridget Cutchen. President-elect Elizabeth Richards. Secretary Treasurer Eric Burgeon. The incoming board members, Monica Agati for membership, Gina Smith for outreach, Ariel Biggs, Education Institutes, Matt Fisher, Education Webinar Forums, Sherry Thrasher, Communications, Laura Holland for networking, Carrie Summers, GHA Liaison, and John Lloyd for certification. To you newly elected officers and board members and those continuing in office, I extend my sincere congratulations. I'm confident in the wisdom that your peers have shown by electing you. We're all looking forward to your work. While the duties of individual officers are outlined in the bylaws, I'd like to take a moment to remind each officer and everyone else what we're looking for them to provide. To the Secretary Treasurer, Eric, you keep the official records of meetings and serve as an essential liaison between the chapter and HFMA. I trust you'll do your best to keep the lines of communication open. And as finance professionals, I hardly need to stress the importance of responsibility of safeguarding the chapter's funds. The financial well-being of the chapter depends on you. I'm certain you'll make us proud, Eric. I know, heck, as long as I've known you, you've already made us proud with your commitment over the years. And personally, I'm really excited for you, buddy. To the President-elect, Elizabeth, this is an especially important year for you. Take the time to observe the functioning of the president within the chapter and to consider how you might apply your own ideas in the coming year, in the year to come. You might say it would be compared to virtual learning or homeschooling. We all know that you've gotten pretty good at that here of late. Laurence, to the president, Laurence, you've been chosen to lead the Georgia chapter of HFMA. We're all depending on you to serve the interests of the chapter, to grow the chapter's presence, and to foster an environment of fairness, communication, and openness. You've been given the special opportunity to guide the chapter at one of the most exciting and challenging times in our association's history. I personally wish you the best of luck, and I'm confident that you'll leave your mark on our chapter, and you're going to be a great leader, Laurence. And to the past president, Bridget, you have completed your tenure as president. And an unusual but exciting year it has been. You now become a resource for those officers seeking someone who has stood in their shoes. I encourage you to make yourself available to any who come seeking your advice, or you may want to change your cell phone number immediately following this call. Now, incoming board and officers, will you please answer "I do" once at the conclusion of the following questions? Do you, having been duly elected as an officer or director of the Georgia chapter of Healthcare Financial Management Association, hereby solemnly affirm to uphold the Constitution of HFMA and your chapter and agree to abide and follow the bylaws of HFMA and your chapter? Do you promise to do your best to preserve the reputation and dignity of HFMA and your chapter?
I do.
I do. Do you accept all the responsibilities designated to your office?
I do.
I do.
Then by your acceptance, I hereby declare you installed. Officers, directors, and members of the Georgia chapter, I speak for many when I say we wish you every success in the year ahead. We're depending on you to work together to keep the chapter strong and vibrant. HFMA will be here to give you our full support should you need it, but I'm confident that you will find no challenge too great for the team assembled here. I look forward to a wonderful year ahead. I know all of the Georgia chapter members do. Stay well, everyone. Thank you, and congratulations to all.
Thank you so much, Bill. Really, really appreciate you and appreciate that. Just wonderful to have you a part of this. I think I told you this when I reached out, but you've been tied to my experience all along, whether you were aware of it or not. I've certainly looked up to you and the way that you conduct yourself within this community, among many others who do the same. But I just really emulate the way you approach your business, your life, your friendships, your relationships. And I wanted to thank you for being here to be a part of this with us. So thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hang in there, folks. We're almost done. Between you and getting off of a Zoom call, which I'm sure you've all spent plenty of time on Zoom calls recently. So bear with me. I do tend to talk fast, so I hope to get you out of here in the next 7 minutes. But thanks so much for joining us today. I think I want to start simply by thanking the folks you would expect from the beginning who make up my support system, as do many of us. My organization, Triage Consulting Group, has always been one that values the HFMA relationship. And ever since I can remember being a part of it as a very young associate, that's been something that they've shared, and everywhere that we are, we tend to participate. And without them, I couldn't be here as often as I am. And I want to thank them for that. And then my family, as with all of us, I think the rock is those that are at home with you. And my wife and my kids have also kind of grown as I've grown within this organization. So I just want to thank them for supporting me in the time that it takes to be involved. I want to give you a little background. I hope you'll humor me with a little bit of this, just about me a bit. My time in Atlanta and my time in HFMA, Georgia, are obviously tied together. As Bridget will tell you, I'm the California boy amongst all of you, Georgia and potential Southerners. And so please don't hold that against me. I've been here quite a long time now. At some point, I think maybe I can call myself from Georgia. But definitely those are the roots. And, like a lot of you maybe who have been doing this a while, I still find myself thinking that I'm the young kid in the room, looking up to all these adults who are doing all these amazing things. And I think what I'm starting to realize is, no, I'm old, I'm getting on. And I've been doing this a long time. And there's no greater reminder of that than my kids. Brianna was a year old when I came here and started working with HFMA. And now she's 15 and she's jonesing for my car keys. So there's been a lot of growth that's happened in my family and for me, and certainly I realize now that it may be time to act like an adult. So that is one of my pledges, is that in this role I will try to be the adult in the room. I'm not always successful with that, but at least I'll try as I sit here in my Hawaiian shirt. Bridget mentioned this. My first HFMA conference, my first experience with Georgia, I'd done a little bit in California, and they're great out there too. But my first experience with Georgia was recently after coming here from California, recently after getting engaged. And we knew that there was a Georgia chapter, and we knew that we wanted to be involved. And we signed up for the Spring Institute that was at Callaway Gardens, as Bridget mentioned, where it all began. And, we show up at this place. We obviously registered late. We didn't know what we were doing. And we ended up at some off-property hotel in Pine Mountain, which is probably the only hotel that there was in Pine Mountain outside of Callaway. But we show up, and what do we see? We see like fancy dinners and these amazing, beautiful surroundings, and skeet shooting and golf and fishing and maybe some education on the side and a few happy hours. And I'm like, wait, is this what people do in the state of Georgia? Like, and this is what HFMA is? Like, sign me up, man. I'm coming for this. Let's do more. So that was the taste. And we had, it goes back to the very beginning of that welcoming feel, which is to say, like, we, like a lot of folks do trying to get their name out there, we sponsored the chapter, we didn't know anyone from Adam. And in that first thing, Bill Eikost comes walking up to us, shakes all of our hands, knew all of our names, hands us laminated luggage tags that say, thank you for being a gold sponsor of the Georgia HFMA chapter. And it was like, wow, like, we have a lot to live up to here if this is the way it goes. What a great group, right? So that was my start. And I knew then that I needed to be a part of this, and I wanted to be a part of this. So I was back at Callaway the next year, and I was ready, man. I'm like, I'm going to get involved. This is it. This is my time. And I looked around, and I saw this very energetic, smiling redhead who seemed to be a good place to start because she was chatting up a storm and seemed to know everybody around her. And so I kind of walked up and gave some ridiculous introduction and a hello before kind of being like, hey, is there, anything I could do to help out? What can I do? This seems great. And she gives me this huge smile, turns around and grabs a bunch of papers and hands them to me and says, you can walk up the hill to the hotel office. They got a copy machine there. We need about 200 copies of these. Could you go bring those back? That'd be wonderful. And I'm like, sweet, I got a job. I'm in, So I go up the hill, and boy, this copier must have been the oldest copier in the state of Georgia because it took like each page is going slow and it's catching and it's not spitting anything out. So about an hour and a half later, I come back proudly with my stack of papers. I think Bridget had forgotten that she'd even sent me on that road, but that was the beginning. That was the start. And I was very happy to have been able to participate in that way. And it starts small. So from that beginning, it moved on, right? And you've all had this experience. I've done membership and registration and education and the technology involved. I got a chance to meet some amazing people and really learn about HFMA, which takes a while, right? You come in, you're doing your job. That's why you're there. You're meeting these people. They're wonderful. You're seeing the experiences, but it takes a little bit to understand that there's this amazing organization behind all of that that's providing opportunities for the providers of the state, largely on a volunteer basis, under the support of amazing vendor partners who make it all possible with their monies that they provide. And whether it's education or networking or certification or just the fun, it's a family and a group that I'm really proud to be a part of and amazed that could exist above and beyond our day jobs, right? That we do this, yes, because we have to, but also because we want to. And that's a difference here in this state, in particular in this region that I've seen, and I really value that. And did I think I'd be president? Well, I don't know. Teresa Singley and Carmen Sessom and Bridget might tell you that way back when they pulled me aside, and I think they do this to everyone, and said, I see you as a future president of this chapter. And that's that hook, line, and sinker that gets you thinking you're special, which you are, of course. Everyone is special. But ultimately, that's planted the seed. And I've watched 15 presidents come and go, and Bridget named them all, and they've all brought something to it. Roxanne Arnold's on the phone here, and she's been a wonderful support of mine. She's someone who taught me that you just need to love those around you. And I think that really speaks to the chapter as well, because that is what we need to do, right? We're all here to be together. Yes, there's all these things to do, but it's okay to open up, right? And be someone and let folks in a way that maybe you wouldn't. Folks like Jane Gray, who is currently down in Phoebe fighting the good fight against COVID in Albany, and in that state where they have that outbreak. To Bill, to Karen, to Cinnamon, to Teresa, to Terry Tillery, who's a calling of mine now, who actually was the president the year before I showed up on the scene. But she's been a huge support and in my corner all this time, and I'm really happy to see her on the call. Terry, thank you for joining us today. It's been wonderful having you as part of my journey here. And it goes back farther, right? The website's got past presidents dating back to the mid-50s, and it's just nuts to me that that's the case. And I'm very humbled by the fact that somehow I'm allowed to be a part of that same group. So thank you for that. It's something I take very seriously. So that brings me to this year, I've been thinking about it a long time. I spent all this time planning and organizing and mapping things out. We're going to have all these events and these training sessions and volunteer recognitions and LTCs, annual conferences and yurters, technology, things for enterprise members. It's going to be amazing. We're going to do a luau and fire dancers.
Yeah, man.
Boom. Worldwide pandemic, stop the presses. What do you do? Well, what do you do in these situations, right? You adapt. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to adapt. I got luau, I got fire dancers. It doesn't have to be the same, and I got to admit, and I'm sure this is the case for a lot of you. I think, it's been hard. I'm shell shocked. I'm a little uncertain. I'm at a loss. I'm sad. There's a lot of people been affected really hard by all of this, whether it's sickness or loss of loved ones, whether it's lost jobs, lost wages, lost time. And it's a strain on our systems and our relationships and all the things that we have around us. And more locally, colloquially, it's, a hit on what we wanted to do this year as a chapter, and that's real. It puts it in perspective a little bit that there's a lot going on that we got to be a part of. But it's so often the case, right? Whether you love your friends and families and work colleagues, the fact that the human race is resilient and we tend to encounter these challenges and get back on our feet and figure it all out. And just the positivity and energy and humor of those in this chapter that has been there all along. And that's no different now than it was in this region. I got to meet so many wonderful people from outside of Georgia that I hadn't met before, to all of our volunteers and the past presidents and the award winners. I mean, already we're seeing all these ideas and thoughts and prayers and offers of help coming out of the woodwork to make this successful. And I just know that it's, that's going to be what we do. So yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be a little while before the plans come out. We got to figure out what to do and chart this course, but we're up for it and we're excited about it. And it's going to be great. Some of you may have seen in the news, my town in Dunwoody has started passing around signs that has made its way across the country. And the slogan of our town is, everything is going to be okay. Right. And I don't know that there's more an appropriate theme for my year, which wouldn't have happened without all that's come before until this moment. I had 6 other themes picked out, but they're not appropriate. That one is. So that's it. Everything's going to be okay, and put that and apply that to whatever you have in your life, whether it's HFMA or your relationships, your family, your friends, your work, whatever, because it's true and we know it. And together we're going to get there. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm honored and I'm excited and I'm ready to get to work. So thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Laurence.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yay, congratulations.
We're all very excited to see what you and the board and officers will do this year. We know y'all got this. Everything will be okay. So I'd like to thank again everybody for joining us. Let's be here to support this crazy year. So everybody stay safe and